Hello and welcome to Your Health Reclaimed with DrPND, where we help you reclaim your health with tips, tools, and resources to live your most optimal and vibrant life. Here's your host, DrPND.
Hello and welcome to Your Health Reclaimed. This is DrPND, your host, and today we're going to be talking about why we need nutritional supplements and anything regarding that topic of nutritional supplements. So we, in an ideal world, if we lived in one, we'd all be at the pinnacle of our health, physically, mentally, emotionally, and cognitively, perfectly fine. We will be making all of our meals from scratch, from whole food ingredients, purchased from locally and in season, with, again, high nutrient dense foods. We will never fall ill, get injured, grow old, or go through anything else that might increase our body's need for vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and other nutrients. Basically compounds beyond that which we get from food alone or that our bodies would synthesize endogenously. But unfortunately, this is far cry from the truth in the world that we live in. And nutritional supplements can and do help ensure that we get what our bodies need for both acute healing and long-term optimal health. The subject is vast and broad, and many thousands of words literally have been written on the subject. And unfortunately, also a lot has been, written about to make the case against supplementation, claiming that it's mostly useless, it's a waste of time and money, can cause problems and so forth. The problem with these claims is that they expect supplements to be instant cures for chronic illnesses that result from poor diets and healthy lifestyles. And I have, over 27 years, have experienced this time and time again and still do. People take something for a couple of days, even a couple of weeks or a month, and they'll expect for all the problems to be over, just taking the supplements or the supplemental protocols and without fixing or doing anything else. And this does not work like that. So supplements are intended to be exactly that, a supplemental to a nutritious diet. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about more in detail, but if you don't address the fundamental basics of a healthy diet, with high nutrient dense foods, nothing much will ever change. That is a very simple yet very highly misunderstood concept that if you do not address a poor dietary habits, you will not change. That's not going to happen. Okay, so it's really easy to fall into that trap. Okay, so supplements are not intended to undo or reverse the damage inflicted by a lifetime of bad dietary daily habits, insults basically, of sleep deprivation, sedentarism, drug and alcohol use, misuse, and abuse, or anything else that honestly can have an adverse impact on physiological function. So when studies assess a supplement, for example, vitamin C, or biotin, or manganese, magnesium, whatever, and it's determined that supplement is no more effective than a placebo, or whatever the intended outcome was, it should come neither as a shock, honestly, nor as a disappointment. Supplements, can be powerful, but they are not magical. They can and do facilitate and augment the body's natural processes, but in the absence of any other dietary and lifestyle changes, they may not have as big an impact as they would if they were used as intended. Of course, they might not have any impact at all if the fundamental basis and primarily dietary lifestyle change is not implemented. So these are things that I really want to discuss today. There are numerous other issues that affect the need for and the efficacy of supplementation. So let's go ahead and explore a few of these. Nutrients, form, and function. So some of the forms of supplements used in research may not be the most effective. For example, a vitamin B6 is given as pyroxidine, which may be less effective than pyridoxal 5-phosphate for certain applications. Studies looking at inositol for improving polycystic ovarian syndrome, sleep or stabilizing insulin and blood sugar may employ only the myo-inositol or only the dichiroinositol isomers, when actually in reality, both of those isomers used in conjunction are a lot more synergistically used, a lot more effective than either one of them used alone. And of course, you have the very controversial issue of supplementing with synthetic folic acid rather than natural folates. Using forms of nutrients that are less potent or less bioavailable also may be falsely indicative that the nutrients aren't effective, but using a different form might have produced a lot, more promising outcomes. Another issue is the therapeutic benefits for individuals with specific health conditions. So people who are satisfied with their physical, mental, and emotional health may not need supplements, but considering that around roughly 88-90% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy nowadays, most people can definitely benefit from strategic supplementation that is targeted for their individual situation. And I can personally vouch for that. As clean, as optimal, as nutrient dense as my diet is on a daily basis without waiver, I go through certain periods throughout the year that I need supplementation. It might be from pollen season, it might be from increased stress due to things that are out of my control. That I need extra support. It can be a lot of times during heavy training cycles, I might need extra support of certain nutrients. But nonetheless, I can ultimately say that with very few exceptions, most people will benefit to some degree or another of proper, optimized, healthy individual supplementation protocols. So these things are, very important to consider about that. One thing I want to also talk about is, for example, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 100 million Americans nowadays have diabetes or pre-diabetic. Type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance will develop in part from deficiencies in specific nutrients needed for healthy glucose metabolism and insulin sensitivity. Magnesium is one of them. That's why lately, the last probably 5 or 7 years, magnesium has gained great popularity because, as far as we know, there's over 3,000 plus cellular reactions that take place with magnesium in the body. Again, that we know, and it's such a vital macronutrient, and it has been deficient and depleted in our soils for a long time, and therefore is not only found in the food that we eat. So a lot of times, magnesium that is needed, but a lot of things that increase need for nutrients that are aside from magnesium, like B vitamins and vitamin C. Diabetes also increases the need for essential fatty acids, okay, because hyperglycemia and hyperglycemia inhibits a certain enzyme called delta-6 reductase that is needed for elongating the essential fatty acids, and linoleic acid into gamma linoleic acid, and alpha linoleic acid into EPA and DHA. I know it's a little bit too much, but there's always cause and effect in the need for supplements, and there's a reason why supplements are needed. And diabetes is really only one among a long list of common conditions that may increase the need for specific nutrients above that which people typically get from their standard American diet, which is, again, very poor in optimal nutritional status, particularly also if they have, not yet transitioned to a healthy lifestyle and dietary, protocols that might benefit them. Another reason is the pharmaceutical drugs influence nutrient status. That's a big one. Several pharmaceutical medications interfere with nutrient absorption and assimilation, resulting in deficiencies that may be, correctable via proper supplementation. Various diuretics also cause increased need for potassium and calcium and magnesium. Statin drugs are known to reduce synthesis of CoQ10 and vitamin K, which is absolutely essential. Pfizer's first drug, when they developed their statin a long time ago, actually part of that medication, they had originally put in that CoQ10 because they knew that drastically that statin depletes CoQ10 levels, inhibits the production of it. So they had it in with the original statin, but due to cost, prohibitive reasons, they took it out. And of course, they didn't tell anybody, but the fact is that it does. It reduces synthesis of CoQ10, very, very dangerous long term. Metformin use, it results in reduced B12 absorption, big problem. So these are just a handful of drug nutrient interactions, that affect nutrient status and may indicate the supplementation is warranted. It's really rare the patients these days which visits a doctor and doesn't have a long list of medications they've been taking for years. And it's not really a common practice for the physician to tell them to supplement properly. PPIs, proton pump inhibitors, massive damage and inhibition of absorption of nutrients. So anyway, these can cause clinically relevant deficiencies that should not be ignored, but rather may be correctable in part by judicious and healthy, optimized supplemental protocols. Another reason that we need supplements is dietary preference and aging. Okay, people following restrictive diets may benefit from targeted supplementation. Vegans are a perfect example for that. Okay, vitamin D3, vitamin K, vitamin B12, B vitamins in general. They're known for that, for deficiencies with that. So many nutrients is known to be shortfalls on their particular eating plan, and that's going to have an effect. Vegetarians are another one, especially, like I said, strict vegans require heavy supplementation with vitamin D3, B12, and zinc, iron, and omega fatty acids. That also is extended to vegetarians, not just vegans. Those following strict ketogenic diets are going to be in more need of potassium and magnesium by default, okay? Because a lot of those people usually eat relatively very limited vegetable intake, including fiber. Older people, they need more protein than they typically get from their diet in whole food form. Protein needs increase drastically as a person ages, okay? Just a fact. For these individuals, especially those with dental problems, cannot chew well, and cannot really absorb the protein. Protein powder or a meal replacement can be a convenient and effective way for them to get, the nutrients they need. I have people with, digestive issues that I deal with all the time, people that cannot really chew food properly due to dental problems. More things like smoothies and shakes, good high quality concentrated clean forms of protein and concentrated foods like green powders and fiber and so forth are absolutely beneficial and critical for wellness. So nutritional supplements, again, are not a panacea, okay, but clearly there's an important role for them in numerous patient populations. From the patient perspective, however, it's easy to feel like honestly, a deer in a headlight, because in the middle of the health food store supplement aisle or Amazon or any other internet stores, people get totally overwhelmed by the sea of products on display. Currently, as of 2019, there was over 55,000 brands of supplements worldwide, and everybody is selling something. And there's tremendous amount of deception, unfortunately. There's a lot of inferior products. Some of those products can be even dangerous because there's very little to no regulation. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So to ensure that we get the results that we seek, rather than ending up with expensive urine, we have to work with people and with qualified healthcare professionals to create a proper supplemental regimen that will be effective, for the people's desired goals and needs that they are after. I want to kind of go into a little bit of a history, a very short history. Ultimately, why is it that we started to need supplements? In the late 1800s, mid 1800s, right around there, the processing of food became extremely prevalent at the point it became actually commercialized. And by late 1800s, early 1900s, those foods became a regular part, or began to begin a regular part of our food supply here in the United States. The three foods that were very heavily processed or modified are wheat flour, industrial seed vegetable oils, and also sugar. So if you look at any food, especially any processed food and canned food, is going to have white bleached wheat flour. is going to have highly refined industrial seed vegetable oil supplied and highly refined sugar. The sugar can be in dextrose, fructose, sucrose. It can be high fructose corn syrup, which is the worst of them all, and can go on and on. And those foods, by processing those, natural foods, they began to remove the enzymes and the micronutrients that are present, and therefore deficiency began to develop. A lot of people are familiar with clinical deficiency like scurvy and pellagra and so forth, but unfortunately, there's a lot of deficiencies that are still to this day not really recognized, and especially if those deficiencies are subliminal. So little by little, if you start to go back and really look at the history of cancer and diabetes and heart disease especially, you'll directly see the correlation of the increased consumption of processed foods and the increase of those degenerative chronic diseases. Okay, so diabetes, heart disease, cancer, you name it. And it is directly proven, it has been directly correlated to that. And you'll see that. I can vouch in my own country, in Europe, the same thing began to happen after 1945, after World War II ended. And the reason for that, again, the bottom line reason is the processing, a highly processing of our food supply. The 70s, the artificial sweeteners and colorings and preservatives started coming in. Then in the 90s, the GMO started coming in. It's just the onslaught of our food supply being destroyed and devoid of any nutrition. It really began to escalate in the early 1900s with the consumption, and it keeps going prevalent. So just keep that in mind, and this is why ultimately supplements are developed. There's a physician named Dr. Royal Lee. He was a dentist and a brilliant man. Research, he had multiple patents, but Dr. Royal Lee, you can look at him. He actually started the first supplement company back in 1938. Not understand the process and with a food called cattle, because he is among the first ones to recognize the need for supplementation. So it's important for you guys to understand how vital micronutrient deficiencies are. Okay, when in my practice, in generally holistic health, when it's all said and done, you can ultimately boil down any chronic disease to literally two things: micronutrient deficiencies and or toxicities. And 99% of the time, you'll always have both of these together. First and foremost are going to be the nutritional deficiencies. So when somebody has to get better, somebody wants to get better from a chronic illness, they're going to have to address the nutritional deficiencies first and foremost to be able to build that base and then deal with the toxicity afterwards. That's why if you don't address the nutrition as the fundamental basis and begin to eat clean, wholesome, nutrient-dense foods prepared the proper way, along with proper supplementation, things are really not going to get a lot better. If you don't address that, if you don't have that solid, strong foundation, you cannot build anything upon that, period. So it's really important for you guys to understand that it's a simple concept. And I know there's nothing, fun and exciting and new about it. There's no magic supplement. There's no magic protocol. It is the hardcore truth that a lot of people don't like to face. Okay. And, it's a message that I can never get across enough, because it's too simple for people for some reason, and they don't understand it, they don't appreciate it, and they always get in trouble. I've been doing this for 27 years, and I can tell you this, that I've seen it all the time. The same cycle continues. Something new comes up in the market, and people go after it, think that's going to be the panacea, the end all, the be all of all the problems. It's whether it was the keto diets, whether it was the paleo diets, whether it was the, coconut oils, the keto plants in general, the supplements that we're taking, apple cider vinegar, bone broths, this, then the other. I mean, it's always something. And people just cannot get that comprehended, that you have to address dietary and lifestyle, health. And if you don't address that, nothing is going to change. In addition, people always ask me, well, why do I need the supplements? Why do I need the supplements? If I'm generally eating healthy. Well, a lot of people think they're eating healthy. Okay, just because you're having a salad and some grilled chicken, that's really not healthy. Okay, a lot of people are also they'll eat actually healthy diet, but then they'll plug in the junk afterwards, thinking like they can erase the bad with the good. Basically, if I eat really healthy, then I can go and devour, junk food and garbage on the weekends. Or if I have a good meal, I can treat myself with something. It doesn't work like that. It's going to catch up to you eventually, especially if you have a chronic disease you try to get rid of. There's no such thing as, well, I have 3 good, I only have 1 bad, therefore I'm net 2 good. Never going to happen. Get it out of your head, because you're going to be spinning your wheels. All right. So real quick, I want to recap when people ask me, well, how come I need supplements? How come I need to take supplements? And I said, why do I need all these pills and all this weird stuff? And here's an answer that I always give, or try to give. You need all this weird stuff, quote unquote, because your body is ultimately inundated with even weirder stuff. At this moment in human history, okay, we're living in an altered environment of our own making, constantly ingesting and absorbing over at least 80,000 plus man-made chemicals without even realizing. Okay, never before has our food supply been so corrupted with pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, chemical fertilizers, irradiation, hormones, genetically modified organisms, steroids, high fructose corn syrups, xenoestrogens, synthetic colors, preservatives, sweeteners, highly refined industrial seed vegetable oils, refined flour that is bleached through numerous chemical processes, an obscene amount of refined and processed sugar, like obscene. Okay, keep that in mind. Never before have we exposed our bodies to so many chemicals in the form of shampoos, lotions, deodorants, makeups, cosmetics, tooth, brushes, toothpaste, mouthwashes, all massively chemicalized. There are studies now showing that certain industrial and regular conventional mouthwashes like Listerine actually help to exacerbate diabetes and can help contribute to diabetes because of killing of the good bacteria in the mouth and the gut. But that's a topic for another story. So never before, have we lived in an electrical landscape that we have right now of Wi-Fi hotspots, 5G cell towers, wireless signals and high frequency waves over literally nearly every populated, area on Earth. Never before have we taken so many medications, with Americans literally consuming over 60% of the world's drug supply. That's sad. I mean, you don't think there's damage to that? If you don't believe me, go to any drugstore, take a bottle of aspirin, Tylenol, ibuprofen, whatever it might be. You're going to see on the back of the warning labels. Over the years, I have many physicians. There are trauma surgeons, emergency physicians. I'll tell you, the first one, the biggest reasons when people go into hospital for poisoning is because of Tylenol or ibuprofen or other those NSAIDs, because they literally take them like cake. Okay, so there's just a lot to be said about that. Also, never before have we been so removed from our natural environment, from nature. Okay, breathing so much pollution, living in such a dense cities, and endure incredibly high stress lifestyles that keep us at all hours. Look at the sleep epidemic that we're experiencing, in the United States. It is insane. So you don't think that affects your nutrient status? You don't think that affects, your body's need for nutrients? Yeah, well, think again. All those things affect us in the need of supplements. So I think I made a case, hopefully, for that. Supplements are needed. They make a difference. You have to know what you're doing. You have to know what you're taking. You have to have the healthy frame of reference to understand that it's not a panacea, it's not an end all be all. You have to take it for what it is. And if you don't know what you're doing, hire a practitioner, hire a holistic health person who knows what they're doing. Okay. Before we end, People always ask me about, cheap supplements. That's another big misconception. It's interesting because people fight the supplements, but yet Costco sells them by the thousands of tons, literally a year. I saw those Amazon. I saw those any of the conventional places, including all the drugstore. And people always say, "Well, why do I need to, buy those supplements of, different companies that I can go and get something from Costco, like one a day, or, whatever the brand is. There's some generic cheap brand that is sold in those, big box stores. Basically, why do I have to spend that money when I can buy cheap supplements that says the same thing pretty much, is the same milligramage or whatever?" And I always tell them 10 reasons why. And that's not an exhaustive list thing. So keep in mind, especially right now in 2023, inflation may tempt you, to train with the help of the cheapest supplements, right? While that may save you some dollars, that money may be completely wasted because they don't work, or even worse, they can compromise your health. When choosing the supplements based purely on the lowest price from a popular internet address or, the big box stores, ultimately, these are the 10 risks that you may be facing. And I can guarantee you're going to face at least 2 or 3 of those without fail. First of all, you're going to have unwanted contaminants, which may be present, such as heavy metals and other chemicals, based on how the supplement has been manufactured. I had a client, they used to take glucosamine from Sam's Club, and he started getting like really, really bad headaches. And I couldn't figure out why he all of a sudden started bad headaches, even feeling nausea. Well, I went through his supplements, and when I opened the bottle of glucosamine brand from Sam's, that was over 10 years ago, it reeked like acetone. Okay, like you go to a nail salon, that is acetone. I mean, it was no doubt about that. And sure enough, did some research, did some digging, as a lot of people started complaining, and they even got a lawsuit against it because it was, when they were extracting it, they used acetone as a aliquot, I believe. But whatever they're using, it was literally doused with acetone and had massive amount of residue to the point that it literally reeked. And sure enough, stopped the supplement, did a detox. 2 months later, he was fine. But that just one example of what contaminants can be present. A lot of the supplements come from China. They come from Philippines. The zero to no regulations. Okay, keep that in mind. Ingredient number 2, ingredient quality may be so low that the supplement fails to be effective. Happens all the time. People say, "Well, I'm taking vitamin D3 and my blood levels are still not up." Well, what vitamin are you taking? I looked at the vitamin, it's like cents on the dollar, literally the cheapest thing they found online. I'm like, no wonder why you're not going up. As long as there's a trace amount or a minimal amount of the supplement present, generally speaking, because it's not regulated, it's accepted. So if it's 10% presence of the dose that is set on the bottle, they're good. They can keep selling it. So again, is the ingredient there in the first place? Number 3, supplements may be complete fakes that don't have any or even enough of the active ingredient for it to make literally any significant difference, to your performance or to your needs and goals. That too happens all the time. So not only underdosing, but either severely underdosed, like fraction, or just completely void of the nutrient. And because of the lack of regulation, it just goes unnoticed. Number 4, some supplements may contain banned substances that literally can make you fail a drug test. That can cost you a sporting career. It can cost you a job or an opportunity. Have seen it happen. Right? Contaminants do happen again. So that's another reason. Number 5, supplements contain false label claims where they're loaded with non-nutrient additives such as fillers, binders, or dyes that can literally cause inflammation or harm to your digestive tract. Titanium dioxide, like blue, I think it's number 3, red number 5. All these are silica. Even though it's inert, some people causes tremendous amount of irritation. So the binders in there, the glues that hold the tablets or the capsules that might be present. So you're going to have a supplement perhaps that has quality ingredients in it, but based on how it's manufactured, it can cause damage. Number 6, ingredients could be completely out of date. Okay, then repackaged to appear is they haven't expired. Because remember, when you buy a bottle of supplement, the powder in there, in the capsule, the tablet that is created from the powder was created from the raw ingredients. So the manufacturer can buy something that is out of date or is coming out of date. They can pack it. The bottle is going to say, well, it was manufactured, say, last month, so it has 2-year expiration, but the raw ingredient in there can be way, way, way out of date, okay? Also, you don't know where those ingredients came from. Again, raw materials make a huge difference. Did it come from China? Did it come from Philippines? Was it tested for purity? Was it tested for toxicity, for mycotoxins, depending on what it is? There's a lot that goes in there. Okay, the dosage is also maybe either too high or too low. Again, leaving you with really nasty side effects or no effects at all whatsoever. If you're taking like a fat soluble vitamin, that is hard to overdose, relatively speaking, but still is. And you're taking what you think is 1 dose, but you're actually taking triple the dose because, again, unregulation can have problems. Fillers and other additives, like I said, they will have a negative impact on bioavailability of the supplement, which means that you might have a good quality ingredient, but because of certain binders and fillers, which are the cheap way to go, they can bind to those effective ingredients and you not absorb it or have a limited absorption. Yeah, that's why, again, buying quality ingredients, quality manufacturing practices makes all the difference in the world. Number 9, labels may hide the fact that the supplements, is high in sugars by covering labels under different names, such as, cane crystals or dextrose or, polydextrose or maltodextrin. So you see a lot of the powders, protein powders or other, meal replacements, they're loaded with sugars. But because of label laws and claims, they have loopholes that they don't have to claim that. And it doesn't register as a sugar, but it affects blood sugar. So guess what happens? All those things make a big difference. Cheap supplement manufacturers also do not follow good manufacturing practices, or cGMP. What I like to even do better stands for Certified Good Manufacturing Practices, which is very stringent because they get the facilities inspected all the time, okay, from A through Z. So everything that goes in there, it has to be, match quality. They can also contain allergens, such as nuts and seeds, lactose. Some people are sensitive to gluten, wheat, and so forth. It makes a difference. So these are the biggest 10 reasons that I always tell people why buy quality supplements. So for instance, the supplements that I use in my practice, I deal with only about 5 companies, okay? And I can tell you that not a single one of those companies deals with ingredients made in Philippines, made in China. They're either coming from Europe, Germany, Switzerland, Sweden, which are very highly regulated, especially Germany. So Germany regulates their supplement extremely heavily. And majority actually come from Canada, which the Canada's FDA also is very strict to regulating supplements. So from the raw material, to the quality of the raw material, the way the raw material is packaged and sent to the packing facility, from there how things are packed. That's why you almost always, you never see me use any tablets. There's only a few things that I use tablets in. And luckily, the manufacturing of those tablets is just a press that grinds them together and holds it from a pressure standpoint. Okay, but there's only 2 or 3 of those. And you can literally take them and chew them and taste the food in them. Majority is either going to be liposomal delivery, which is very effective in delivery, preserves the actual nutrients. It hits it very quickly. People that have GI issues, they don't have to use tablets or capsules or soft gels because a lot of times it causes GI distress. Liposomal delivery is absorbed in the salivary glands in the mouth. And if it's anything, the rest of it is swallowed, it actually still gets absorbed very quickly. Capsules. The capsules are more expensive because if they're just made out of pure gelatin and water, they're very pure, they're hypoallergenic. And they rarely get dissolved, and the quality high nutrients in the supplement gets absorbed really quickly and effectively and fully. But that's more expensive. Also, how's the process? Is the warehouse air conditioned? Is heavy amounts of light, sunlight, or artificial light allowed to hit that supplement? Because some of those nutrients are light sensitive. whether it's sunlight, heat, or artificial LED light, it still can damage it. Are they packed in cheap plastic see-through white bottles, which is very cheap, or are they done in a cobalt blue or dark amber glass bottle, which is not cheap? Also, that costs more for shipping. But all those things make a difference. There is a supplement shipped refrigerated and at least climate controlled, has been allowed to sit in a warehouse with no air conditioning for weeks on end with high heat, or even drastic, usually low temperatures are not going to affect it that much, but high temperatures do. So people in the south of the United States, especially during the summer, makes a big difference. Also, is a supplement, when they're shipped, are they shipped to you on ice, or were they refrigerated and insulated? How was it? All those little things make a difference in how effective a supplement is. And then ultimately, you don't have to have the knowledge to be able to how to use that. In holistic health, we always say you have to use the right supplement, use it at the right time, in the right combination with other supplements at the right dose for the person. If you don't have that, you can be wasting time and money, even with high quality supplements. So I hope this podcast kind of shed a little bit more light on why it's important to take supplements, the need for them, the great effectiveness of them. You can go to Google Scholar and you can look at benefits of nutrients. You can go to greenmedinfo.com. That's greenmedinfo.com. You can search the massive database of the importance of nutrients. There's many clinical journals, if you're clinical nutrition of nutrition, and many prestige journals that are loaded, and every month something comes up confirming the effectiveness of nutrients and how supplementation can benefit that. Nowadays, again, 95% or more of people that I work with, whether related to GI or not, do have gastrointestinal problems and insufficiencies. That means they are not absorbing and assimilating and utilizing the nutrients properly. So of course you're going to have deficiencies. So anyway, I really hope that shed some light on you guys, motivate you to really invest time and money into your health. It is an investment. Absolutely, they're more expensive, but ultimately you're going to get what you paid for, and you're going to reap what you sow. So either you can pay a little bit more money now with higher quality supplements, better nutrition, and dietary lifestyle, or you can pay dearly later in life, not just with your money, but also with a degraded and degenerated ill health. If you guys have any questions, let us know. Go to DrPND.com. Got a free consultation. I'd love to talk to you. We offer easy at-home tests, very comprehensive blood panels as well, that we can look at nutrient deficiencies, and some of those things are fixed very easily, and they're not really expensive at all. But if you have any questions, call us. We'd love to help you out. Thank you for being here with us. This is again Your Health Reclaimed with Dr. PND. I hope you guys have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your valuable time and for listening to the Your Health Reclaimed podcast with Dr. PND. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and share this episode with a person you know it can help. If we can help you in any way, or you would like to connect with Dr. PND, please visit DrPND.com. That's DrPND.com.